Some of you know we took a group across the water to the land of our forebears. We took them to UK, to England, and we traveled all over the country. All over the country. And while we were there, we saw evidences of all kinds of people, right? You go to England and you think you're going to see all kinds of British people. All kinds of people. All kinds of people, especially in London. And it got me thinking, wow, this really is a nation of all different ethnic groups, ages, backgrounds, languages. And then we went a little bit further out, and one of the last things we did was we went to a place that you're familiar with called Stonehenge. Now, let me save you the 35 US bucks. It's not so good. You drive by, you go, look, there's the rocks, and then that's it. No, it is. If you've never been, you've never done something like that, you should go. What was fascinating about the exhibit is that they've turned it into, it's actually a live archaeological site now. When Fran and I went there, they were still using BB guns and shooting Coke cans off of them. But now, it's kind of very hands-off. You're not allowed to go near the rocks. You got to back away. It was like a big circle. What was that, like 30 feet, Anthony? Something like that? Yeah, 30 yards. So they gave you binoculars on the tour. It kind of stinks, but it's a big, giant circle around the circle. It's a fascinating area because it draws all kinds of people there. It's kind of like a circus of cult. All kinds of groups there who go there who want to claim some kind of connection to the original people who built those monuments. They still really don't know what it was. They think it's a calendar. Some people think it's some sort of an astrological timing device. They don't know. But all around Stonehenge, the actual, circle of rocks, are these little green mounds, and you don't know what they are. You have to listen to the tour, pay the 35 bucks, and find out what they are. Does anybody know what they are? Besides Anthony? Yes. Yes, they're graves, and they're about maybe as big as this platform and about this tall, okay? And in the 19th century, they started probing these graves to figure out what was in there. And of course, they found people, and they were group graves, not just an individual. And they found a lot of stuff, too. Now, these people, generally we think, lived in what we call England about 2500 BC. Talking a long time before any other peoples got there, before the Normans got there, but definitely before the Romans got there, definitely before the French got there, just ancient people. And it was fascinating to me what they found in the graves. They found household items, jewelry. They found people buried together. 2,500 years BC. Long before the introduction of anything resembling Christianity or even monotheism. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, at the end, Kennedy gives a speech, and he says, "Our most common link is that we all inhabit this small planet, that we all breathe the same air, and that we all cherish our children's future, and that we are all mortal." We were all over Britain, and I mean all over, right, Bob? We were everywhere, okay? And we saw evidence of this truth, that in the end, most people, now there are evil people in the world, but most people do realize that we're in a shared place, that the world was not created just for me, that I'm in a place with other people who don't think the way I do, who don't believe the same things I do, who don't even look like me, who weren't even born at the same time frame, who don't eat the same food. They don't even smell the same. And that they have children, and that they cherish a future better for their children than what they had. And that they realize, even if it's down deep inside, they realize that they are mortal. One of the things we did when we were there as well was we went through the British Museum. Fascinating place. Fascinating things that they found. Again, all kinds of civilizations. The Celts, who took over that whole area that we call Britain, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, was all Celtic, all the way across. All of Jimmy's relatives, they were all there. They all look like Nicky. And they had fancy jewelry and fancy dresses. Weren't they amazing? I mean, just these things that they said. They found a whole life, a whole civilization, a whole group of people none of us have any connection to, don't know anything about except in a museum. These people lived and died. They had children. Some of them got old. They made war. They had times of peace. They lived on this earth long before. And they had some of these same ideas. They realized they were mortal. Yes, they expressed that differently, no doubt. They cherished a better world for their children. Yes, they expressed that differently. But it got me thinking, that's what I want. I want my son and his children and their children not necessarily to have more things, because I think we're all sort of up to here with things. We want a quality of life that's better. Not that all of us suffered so much, I just want to tell you. But we want them to have a richer, more involved, more tangible, more honest life. We want them to be happy, safe, right, Beth? Secure. We want them to be protected. We don't want harm to come to them. We want their future to be better than ours. We want them to be in a world where two people who live in the same land aren't throwing bombs at one another. Right? We want people to realize, yes, they're different, but what are we going to do? It was fascinating in London where we were, and there were so many kinds of people in one spot. It was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. There are folks here who are afraid of that, right? You're afraid of things that you don't know. You're afraid of things that you've not experienced, that you're not a part of, that's alien to you. I thought, if I'm going to try to give through my life and my words something that is tangible and real and memorable, then I need to turn to the words of Solomon. I need to turn to God's words and see this same pattern, this same passing on is what we have. So Proverbs chapter 3, this is probably, I have a little, I don't know if you've been to my yard, you've seen that big stone altar I have. Some of you avoid it with good reason. But there's an inscription on the lip of it, and it's this passage, or it's this section of this passage. I want to read to you. Listen to this. My son, now you can translate that to my daughter, my children, my grandchildren. When I read this to Anthony Jr., I translate it to my grandson. Do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity. Now, if we were to boil down what all those cultures, all those civilizations, all the peoples who have ever lived, if we were to boil down essentially what they want long life. Nobody wants to die young. Forget Billy Joel. He's wrong. No one wants to die young. We think it's a great injustice when that happens. No one wants that. We want a long, prosperous, happy life. So, that's what he's saying. Question is, how? Those different cultures that I mentioned, and some today, exercise different methods to make that happen, right? What's our culture say? To live a long and happy, prosperous life, what do you got to do? What's our religion of culture say? Make money, work hard. There's a big one. Come on. There's a big one. Well, no. The big one is eat healthy, right? I know you that was in the back of your mind. Exercise, eat healthy, right? You'll live a long and happy and prosperous life. Maybe so. Solomon said, "Keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity." What a boast. If you think about it, what a claim. That's pretty bold. You say to your son, listen to what I'm saying, and if you do what I say, you will be happier, you will live longer, and you will be more prosperous. Wow. I don't know about you, but I don't always give great advice. Right, Bob? I don't always give great advice. Sometimes I'm not really focused, is the right word, I suppose. Just don't give great advice. Maybe I'm alone in that. But Solomon is making a pretty big claim. He's saying that whatever it is you're about to hear from me, if you do it, your life will be better. I don't even know what he's about to say. But he's making a pretty bold claim. Listen to what he says. This is what's inscribed as with an iron tool on my altar in my yard. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck and write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and men. Ooh. The language is not by accident, as we know. There are no accidental words from God. Being the creator and all, doesn't really do accident. Let love and faith, of all the things, right? I got to tell you, Kim was saying, I don't know if you know, but they went to Israel. See the pictures? Some of you Facebookers, you saw the pictures. They went to Israel. She says, I saw her, I hadn't seen her in 3 weeks. She says to me, first thing she says to me, your people are crazy. And I said, oh, you were driving with them? Yeah, I know that. She said, no. She said, all the stuff they did to keep the Sabbath and all these other things. Of all the things, there are 635 commandments. X positive, X negative. There's a lot of stuff that Solomon could have said, right? Read the scriptures daily. He didn't say that. Practice this or that. He didn't say that. Eat healthy. He definitely didn't say that. Get rid of the baboons. No, he didn't say that either. Glad somebody likes my humor. Thank you, Eric. $20 after the sermon. Of all the things he says, love and faithfulness. Don't let those leave you. And then look at the language that he uses, he enlists to explain to us what he means by not leave you. Bind them around your neck. Now, again, British Museum. We saw stuff, jewelry that the Celtic women and men wore. It was a big, I don't know how, it's like a giant horseshoe that basically they put around their neck, and that thing probably weighed a couple of pounds, okay? And it was not leaving once it was on your neck. I don't know what they did with it. I don't even know how they got it on. It's a solid piece with like a little horseshoe opening. Bind it around your neck. Keep it there. Keep it there. It's intentional. Doesn't just, very little. We had a little discussion in class today about peace and all that, and definitely it's past this understanding because I don't get it. But I will say that the idea of things just sort of being as they are, producing peace, is not true. I'm on the other side of that scale where I tend to manufacture peace, make things happen so that peace will occur. You have to figure out where you are on that spectrum. He says, bind it. That's something I'm doing. It's not being bound on me. I'm binding it. I'm doing something purposeful, things purposeful and direct and specific to keep love. I have to do that. I am naturally not loving. I am naturally not kind. I am naturally not good. I have to fight, specifically do things. I look like Rain Man out in the woods sometimes talking to myself. You shouldn't be doing that. What are you doing? What's going on? Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. I don't know about you. That's the struggle I had. Daily, Brian mentioned it in class, it's almost hourly, possibly even minute. Bind it around my neck and write them on the tablet of my heart. Think about that language. What does that tell us? What's the illusion? What's the metaphor of the heart? That the heart is what? Something impressionable. Something that a mark can be left on it. There are marks on your heart that no one else knows about, that have been left by a pen of some event or some person or some thought that's there and stuck. That's why we must protect children. It's because when those things get written on their heart, they are there. No therapy, no prayer, nothing will erase them. All you can do is adjust for them. That's part of the reason why the language says, create in me a new heart. Get rid of this baby. I need a different one. Write it on the tablet of my heart. How do I write on the tablet of my heart love and faithfulness? Psychologists tell us that I have to do something, think the numbers, 14, or in other words, a lot, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again in order for something to become a part of me. Over and over and over and over again, got to say, Matthew, shut up. Matthew, that's not the right way to think. Matthew, leave Bob alone. Over and over and over and over again. And that's how I inscribe on my heart love and faithfulness. And the promise is, then I will win favor and a good name. I don't know if you know what's happened with Google and the European Union, but the European Union just finally won a case saying you have to give people the ability to delete stuff about them. And let's just think about this sort of interesting discussion, right? What are people asking for? What? Fresh start, anonymity, clean slate. Think about it. What is identity theft? What's really the problem there? It's the violation that you're impersonating me. This isn't me. I do enough bad things. I don't need you doing things bad for me or in my name. This idea of anonymity, which is the whole mirage of the social media landscape anyway. You're not. What are you kidding me? If it's electronic, it's out there. Sorry, password protected or not, it's out there. Just telling you. How do I protect my name? Does that matter to you? Some of you, it matters a lot. Some of you less. How do I do that? By letting love and faithfulness never leave you. You know, what I do for a living, kind of like what Matt, I program, and so I get to work with different companies, and I'm in and out of different companies all across, the state mostly. I do have some out-of-state customers, but how I interact with them, what I see is amazing. The landscape for people working today is nothing short of treacherous. It's a difficult place. I had a guy tell me, we just got some venture capital and I got the best massage of my life this week. Trying to think how all that relates, but to him, that was significant. He got a massage at work. He thought it was the best benefit he'd ever have. It was strange. It was strange. My reputation, my name, my persona, Solomon says, is best protected if I let love and faithfulness never leave me. That's situational, right? I don't know you. I meet you. We discuss. Something goes on, and you're already calculating. You're already sizing me up. Oh, he's wearing who's it? What's it? Is it? And you've already made a decision. Somehow, in that interaction, I've got to let love and faithfulness never leave me. The way I talk to you, what I do when I don't get my way. Oh, that is wicked for me. Wicked. That's when you will see the worst of me. Is when I'm in motion. Okay, that's all I do. I'm in motion. And I'm going from here to there. Women and children, you better catch up. Because I'm going there. Let me just give you some advice. If you're taking 10 people on a group tour, nobody drinks until they get home. We stopped 46 times to go to the bathroom. I'm just saying. Little friendly advice. Let love and faithfulness and no water till you get home leave you. Maybe your reputation is not as important to you. There are actually business models. There are actually companies whose whole job it is to protect your reputation. Shouldn't that be my job? If I didn't put anything bad out there, if I didn't act in a bad way, if I controlled myself, asked God for strength and wisdom in every situation, maybe I wouldn't have to pay $19.95 a month. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. Wow. Long before our bright little folks realized that what goes in is what comes out, what affects us, what we see, what we touch, what we participate in, what we watch, what we think of as entertainment, what environment we're in, affects us long before we realized that. God said it. Listen to he says it 5 or 6 different ways in this next passage. Apparently, it's kind of important. Health to my body and nourishment to my bones means not thinking I know everything or I can figure it all out or I'm the wisest, but I lean on God and his understanding and his analysis of the situation, which is tricky, right? It's tricky. You don't always know what the right thing to do is. Just ask people whether or not they should give somebody who's got their hand out money. It's not straightforward. Well, what if they, and what if, and what if, Honor the Lord with your wealth. Now he's about to describe how this happens, the practical things that we do. Honor God with your wealth, your first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing and your vats brim over to new wine. Totally the opposite of what a lot of information that we're told. We're told, gather for me first, protect my assets. A simple way to say it is look out for number one, look out for me. This is saying, take a risk, because it's a risk. It's a risk. You've worked all 6 months to produce a crop, and now remember, these are people who could not go to Hannaford's and flash the ATM and go buy a gallon of milk. These people lived on what they grew and what they could trade. To say to people like that, take the first stuff that comes out of your garden, the best, the choicest, that beautiful tomato that you've been, looking out your window at every night because you know the gopher's going to get it. You just love that. You want that. And you say, here. There's something liberating but very difficult. This is the way to think. Don't think of this as merely methods. This is a way to think, a way to orient your life. That you're not the first. I have my little grandson. He comes over, stays over once a week mostly, and very simple little thing. I said, look, the dog eats before we do. It sounds silly and goofy and stupid, but it is an imprint trying to write on his heart. You take care of those that cannot take care of themselves, or the weak, or the fatherless, or the orphan, or the widow, however you want to describe it, first. It's hard. It's hard. But this is the way that will bring health to my body and nourishment to my bones. How do you feel? Brian, I don't know if you know this, but our brother Brian goes and works at a shelter once a week. And yesterday, he made a whole meal for all these guys. I'm sure he doesn't come out of there saying, that was stupid. I hope I never have to do that again. For those of you who visit the sick, you get the idea, the principle here. Don't despise God's discipline. Man, I tell you, I do. I don't like being disciplined in any way. I despise it. I fuss and fight and complain and kick. I was the kid on my mother's knee with the legs going like this. Right? I hate it. Don't correct me. And do not resent his rebuke. They go right together, because that's where you go. You despise it and then you resent it, right? You ever discipline a small child? How do they look after they're like, because they're resentful that you've disciplined them. This is a pattern of thinking that we have to change in order to live a long and prosperous and happy life. Because God's disciplining those he loves like a father. In short, it just struck me that all these different peoples that we saw in a country far away were after the same things. They lived a long time ago. They died a long time ago. All their stuff, is there with them. And they wanted the same things. They want the same things you do. And God is telling us how that happens. It happens by making thoughtful decisions repeatedly in every situation to put love and faithfulness above whatever it is that your animal soul is wanting. And this is very challenging for me. I don't know why I keep going back to it, but it's very hard for me. I don't know about you. Maybe this comes naturally. But I trust God, and I trust His words, and I trust that somehow, by doing this repeatedly, that the life of those that I love will be prolonged. I don't have any visions of living till I'm 90. Kind of like, The Who. Hope I die before I get old. I don't really have... it's not the age, it's the quality of the life is what Solomon's pointing to. And yes, in their culture, if you lived a long time, that meant you were living right in the popular mindset, okay? Because there's a lot of things that could have killed you. A lot of things. It's the quality and it's the posterity to get passed on. I don't know what you want to pass on. I don't know what you want your legacy to be with your family, your children, your friends, the people around you. But these are definitely what I want. And Solomon tells me how to get them.